commit to this committee and to you that I will let NHTSA do their investigation.
So that's an example of sort of the dry work of oversight and why the hearings are supposed to matter. But now we have a real live conflict, according to the Post reporting. What is it incumbent on the Transportation Secretary to do here?
Look, the entire Republican Party is in Trump's pocket. When you saw the vote the other night, every single Republican except Massey, who may be very, very conservative, but at least is principled, which differentiates him from every single member of Congress in the Republican Party. So these guys, they got picked because they're yes people. And this is a scary time because I don't think Trump is terribly good at running the government. And he certainly wasn't the last time. And the amazing thing to me is he's dropped in the polls like a stone. This is the lowest anybody has had a favorable, the highest unfavorable rating that anybody has had within this short time after the inauguration. And this is going to be a very rough ride that we're going to have for the next 4 years.
It's also striking that they wrote in on claims of populism. I mean, everybody's heard about that.
That's why he got elected. He got elected because people felt like the government. I'm not against downsizing government, but you don't break the law to do it. Now the big question is what are the courts going to do? Because the Republican Party has essentially bought and paid for them for the last 20 years through the Federalist Society, and they're basically in the Republicans' pocket. So I'm going to be really interested to see what Roberts rules on in terms of all the law breaking that's going on to fire all these people.
Yeah, and we mentioned it's a slower process, but the courts have been pretty skeptical already to some aspects of it. Your party, the Democrats, I mean, do they need to do more on these sort of multi-billion-dollar self-enrichment stories?
Well, we need to do a lot more. I mean, we should never have lost that election. First of all, Bernie Sanders is partly right. We need to focus on the working people of this country, and we talk a good game, but it's all about donors and, my good man and all this crap that goes on in Washington all the time. We need to be knocking on every door in the country, running people for this state legislature, city councils, school boards, and we're not doing that. Until we do that, we're not going to win elections, and we're not going to have the confidence of the American people.
Have you called Bernie to let him know that Trump has finally brought the two of you together?
No, we've been together for a while. I made my peace with Bernie a long, long time ago.
This is Vermont politics. This is for our beat viewers in Vermont, Governor.
That's
I'm not
right.
sure that everyone else knows or cares. But I'm glad you guys are able to see eye to eye to the extent that that's good for Vermont dialogue.
Thank you. Bernie's had his place. We don't always agree on everything, but I admire his willingness to stick to what really mattered. I think we're at a time, Ari, where capitalism could break in the United States. Fascism is not good for capitalism. It really isn't, not in the long term. And yes, there's too much bureaucracy. We need to do something about that. You don't break the law to do that. You don't give your friends $2 billion contracts to do that. You get down, you go and you do the work and do what needs to be fixed, and you do it fairly and treat working people fairly. And I think the people who work for this government are not being treated fairly.
Powerful words from Howard Dean. Thank you. Good to see you as always.
Thank you.
Talking about capitalism, the Trump economic